Hello, welcome back. In the words of DJ Khaled, another one, another preseason preview. And today we are turning our attention to Crystal Palace. When I say we, of course, I'm all about myself and there's someone else, my ever-present podcasting partner, Alex. Number
Day
six,
two.
I want to say
Yeah,
day two for us. Yeah,
day
two,
two.
number
We're
six.
on it. We're on it. And once again, not alone, Sam.
We're not alone. No,
You know
we
what to
are
do.
joined by a returning guest. You know, he came once. And he's actually agreed to come back. Why, I don't know. But we are joined
It
by...
was so nice. It was so nice. You had to do it twice.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
It's got to be done, and it's got to be done. But we're joined by actor Jim Piddock. Jim, how's things? Thank you so much for joining us again.
You're welcome. Hopefully I'll get it right this time.
Well, it was perfect last time,
It
Jim.
was brilliant.
We loved it last time, hence why we asked you back. So in terms of Palace's season last year, if you could sum it up in a sentence, how would you do that?
Last season?
Yeah.
Great transition year.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. So what's different this year? Is it bedded in now, the Vieira plan? Is it
Well,
raring
yeah,
to
you've
go?
got to kick on really from that. You know, part of the, I think everyone was a bit surprised how easy the transition year was. Could have been way worse teething problems. The big problem now is how do you replace Conor Gallagher?
Yeah.
He was an integral part of that transition. And I think they've gone halfway there by signing Czech Decore from Lens. That will make a big difference. He's a very good player. And I think they're still a missing piece of the jigsaw. Although there are signs that Eberechi Eze could fill the other half of that void.
Well, I was thinking I think, did you sign him last season, Eberechi Eze, from QPR?
The season before last, yeah.
Oh, the season before, yeah. But I saw him, like, we've seen him a couple of times down the Liberty, and he was quality when he played against us, and I was only sort of waiting for him to sort of kick on from where he was at QPR.
Yeah.
So, with you now. So yeah, I'm certainly expecting him to come into his own this season. Hopefully.
Yeah, well, he had that big setback with the horrible Achilles injury that set him back at least 8 months. So last year was really for him transition of getting fit again, and he looks terrific in pre-season. He hasn't got the same energy as Conor Gallagher, but between him and Decore, we could dominate, in midfield in a different way, without having to have that energy of the high press quite so strong. But we'll see. We'll see. There may still be another signing to come. But that would be my biggest concern this year is we've definitely strengthened the squad in other areas. So that's kind of can we make up for the loss of Conor Gallagher? And by the way, I don't think it's absolutely out of the question that he couldn't come back again.
Do you think so?
It's unlikely, but that Chelsea midfield is quite crowded. And if there's a feeling, I don't know when the window shuts. Is it after the season begins?
I think it might be just
after. I was going to say, do they keep it like the same time for the window to close as the same time as it usually would, even though it's starting a bit sooner?
I think they've gone back to that idea of end of August, whereas before it used to be right beginning of season. I can't remember, but they kind of been messing around with it. I think there's still a chance if he can't get in that Chelsea team. For sure, but it's a tough one to call because I think he hasn't had the greatest of pre-seasons with Chelsea, and partly because he's not been played in the same position. And there's a lot of rumblings amongst Chelsea fans that he's not the answer to what they need, and they actually feel like that other fellow who was at Norwich last year, whose name escapes me.
Billy Gilmore.
Billy Gilmore.
They actually feel that Gilmore is probably more suited to the style of play and the tactics that Thomas Tuchel wants. So we'll see what happens. I'm not holding out great hope, and I think Palace have proceeded as if he's not coming back. But that is the $64 million question this season.
Yeah, for sure.
Fair enough.
So if Gallagher was the key guy last year, then who are you looking to this season? Not necessarily in the same role, but just a player who might be just the one to watch.
Well, up front, more so than ever, Wilfried Zaha. Wilf is now going to be playing much more as a striker, and he may be our main striker because there's not a lot of competition up there. I think, creatively, SA is going to be huge, important. That how he does, and Michael Elise, and of course the new fellow Czech Decore. So if those four are all on firing on all cylinders, we could have a great season. There are definitely question marks up front. Christian Benteke, Odsonne Edouard, Jean-Philippe Mateta, and Jordan Ayew doesn't smell like a lot of goals.
Yeah.
Mateta could surprise a few people, but Edouard, Ayew, and Benteke, to me, are question marks over all of them, all three.
Is that something that concerns you then, like this season? Is that like where you would say you might lack his goals?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you're going to be heavily reliant, from what you said, you're going to be very heavily reliant on Wilfried Zaha. Yeah. And to put all that expectation on him just seems a bit, much, especially when you've got four other strikers there. I
think so, although he may have a sort of slightly easier remit this season, he doesn't have to track back so much if he's playing as a striker solely. I wonder where we're looking in terms of strengthening up front, because I know that we were very interested in Eddie Nketiah, and I think that would have happened if he hadn't gone back to stayed at Arsenal. We nearly got him in January, and I think I'm surprised I haven't seen more rumblings about another Nketiah type forward. Luke Plan just come in; he's a bit green right now. I think Malcolm Eboué came from Derby, also the two of them. They're both really promising, but I don't think they're Premier League ready. I think Eboué particularly, they both could be terrific, and Blanche could be exactly the sort of Eddie Nketiah type forward we need. So we'll see. It's just whether we need it now as opposed to in 2 years' time or next season.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know. I think defensively, once Chris Richards is nailed down, which it should be this week, I think we're probably pretty okay.
Yeah.
Certainly with goalkeeper we are, and I think with defenders we are. So it's really a question of just that extra forward. And maybe, if we bring in someone like Morgan Gibbs-White, which I would love to see, from Wolves, that could be a lot of the problem solved right there.
He's getting a lot of interest. Yeah, he's getting a lot of interest. Morgan Gibbs-White. I think Everton. Well, we had Everton on yesterday, and they're certainly, trying to have a little sniff around him. So we'll see. But he is very highly rated, it would seem.
Well, I think he's got Palace written all over him. If he's not going to stay at Wolves, much more than Everton. I think he would fit in totally with the type of player and the type of culture at the club now of young, up and coming players. English and French players. So I'd love to see that happen, but I don't know what else is in the works. I do know certain things are in the works, but I don't know what's in the works in terms of an out-and-out striker.
Yeah. So those are the key players. Are there any players that for the non-Palace eye, if you like, people like me and Alex, who maybe we don't watch Palace every week in, week out, we watch them.
Why not?
Now and again. Well,
it's a good question.
I'm a busy man, Jim. I'm a busy man. I'm done watching the Swans every week.
You're wasting your lives.
Who is that underrated player? That one that might slip under the radar. Yeah. The one that
let's do the unseen work.
Well, Decore is sort of is been hailed as an unsung hero so far in his career. I think that if he can stay injury free, we might be very surprised by Nathan Ferguson, who's been injured for 2 years and has looked very promising in pre-season. So I think that he could absolutely burst out of the gate this season. And I do think Malcolm Eboué, if he accelerates his progress the way he could be a huge surprise.
Interesting. I liked him at Derby last year. He looked really good. I was surprised when he made the Premier League move so early. I was expecting a Championship move myself, but I think Palace is the perfect place. Like you said, he fits that mold of young and exciting, and I think Vieira is the perfect guy. The way he's looked after Conor Gallagher and Elise last year, I think that Eboué is. I think he's in good hands.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very very impressed so far with him and Luke Plange.
Oh, Luke, yeah, he was at Derby as well, wasn't he? Luke
yeah.
Lange. Yeah.
I think it was the right move for a lot of Derby players, though, to be honest. Coming from a manager like Wayne Rooney to a manager then like Patrick Vieira, I think it made quite a bit of sense, if I'm being honest. But yeah, compared from like this season, last season, sorry, to this season, what do you think is different this year? Of course, except for Conor Gallagher.
Well, it's hard to tell because it hasn't started. I mean,
yeah.
I think it'll be a very streaky season because we've got an incredibly tough start. We've had a split squad all pre-season, half of them in Australia and Singapore and half here. And I think we could have a pretty rough start. And then I think we've got a very easy patch. And then after the World Cup break, we've got another very tough sort of stretch. So I could easily see us being a very streaky team this year, where we go on great runs where we're winning a lot and then great, not so great runs where we're losing a lot. I would think that would happen. Listen, I mean, obviously we want to try and improve on last year, and I think a top 10 finish would satisfy everybody. I think we could finish as high as 6th, 7th, 8th, and as low as 15th. You know, I think it's one of those years. 15th, 16th, if things really go wrong and we get a lot of injuries. You know, who knows what can happen? Who thought that Everton were going to struggle last year?
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, if it feels like it's going to be one of those seasons for Palace where you're not going to know until probably the end of September how your season's going to go. Like, once you get those first couple of games, those first 2 months of the way, then you can see, right, okay, we're going to go this way or we're going to go that way. That sort of thing. That's what it feels like to me.
To be honest with you, I think it's a bit longer. I think it's probably, you know, another month or so because it really is. I think our first 4 or 5 games are incredibly difficult. We could end up with, like, you know, 2 or 3 points from that. So,
well, I was looking at your first. Oh, I've lost them now. Yeah, they've gone. I was going to say I was looking at your first couple of games, but my notes have just disappeared.
Well, I mean, I can tell you, we got Arsenal at home. Then we got Aston Villa, which is probably the easiest of the first few games. Got Liverpool away. Got Man City away. And then we've got Newcastle away and Brentford at home stuck in there somewhere. That's not the easiest of starts. Arsenal, Man City and Liverpool, 2 of which are away. So I think that could be, well, we'll find out. But I think everybody's excited. There's a feel-good factor that everyone's very excited. I just hope that the balloon doesn't burst early and people get, you know, disgruntled.
Yeah, so you mentioned top 10. Is that your sort of where you'd be happy with coming?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is top 10?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we ended up, was it 12th or 13th last year? I think 13th. And we really threw away probably 8 to 10 points. And I don't say that casually because normally I think you end up where you end up. But we really did throw away so many late goals in the first third of the season, half of the season really. That cost us at least 10 points, and that would have put us up 7th or 8th. So I think we're capable of being up there.
Do you think that's been corrected now this season? Like, do you think it's going to be corrected over the summer transfer window? And
I think there'll be definitely. It's an older, wiser squad, yes. So that kind of naivety will have gone. You know, the defence was a worry last year, but then in the last, you know, third of the season, it was superb. And I think we had 5 clean sheets on the trot at home to end the season. And it's looked a bit shaky again in pre-season, but it's so hard to tell because they've been split squad. So the back four has not played together yet. But if it continues where it left off from last season, that's really promising. And it needs to be because, you know, that's where the goals are going to come from is going to be the issue. And, you know, it ain't going to be me. So.
It's similar, seems to be similar to what I said with the Arsenal one last night, Al, which is that, so like Arsenal bottled top 4 really this year. They should have had it. And then towards the end of the season, they threw away a couple of points. And similar way to, you said Palace did 8 to 10 points. And I think given another year with the game plan, with the coach and a full pre-season and just a year of being wiser and older, that squad might iron out the creases and those 8 to 10 points might come to fruition. And then you are looking at probably not only even top 10, you're looking at maybe pushing for Europe, which I think that's all you can ask for really, like to be better than last year, which I think.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, if we can do better than last year, that's everyone will be happy. You know, I think getting into Europe would be ridiculous to suppose that could happen. But it's not out of the question.
It's not impossible, especially with the Conference League, coming into play now. I don't think it's impossible.
Yeah,
I really don't.
Yeah,
but again, we'll see. We will see. Is it the final question, Sam?
I think it might be.
Could well be. Yeah,
we've flown through this one.
We have
absolutely flown through. So we've covered what's needed in the window. What might be different. Jim, are you willing? So you said anywhere from 7th to 15th. Are you willing to put a number on it and give us a prediction of where Palace might finish next year?
Not the expectation, but where you genuinely think.
10th.
Middle of the road.
Yeah, stuck in the middle. Yeah.
I think you've got to be happy with that, though. I think from a neutral point of view, that's a considering where you were a couple of years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. I think if the football's good as well, that's all that matters, surely.
I think we'll just sneak in the top half. That would be my hope and prediction.
There we are. I think that's fair.
Lovely. That's
awesome.
That wraps us up, I think. Jim, thank you. Pleasure as always.
What about
absolutely love chatting Palace with you. Do you want to take a couple of moments just to tell people where they can find you on social media and the like?
Yes, you can find me at Real Jim Piddock on Twitter, and Jim Piddock I think on Instagram. And there you go. Just type my name and you'll find me.
There we are. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure as always, Jim. And best of luck for the season. We'll see you guys next time for whichever one is next. I don't know what one's next. We're going to say that, but I just don't know what's next. So make sure you're just following us on Instagram at Send Him Off Podcast, Twitter at Send Him Off Pod, and you'll get a lovely little notification if you want to turn them on of when we release a new episode. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you soon. Ta-ra.
Take care.